didn't get me water.
I did.
Oh.
It's right there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, sir. May I have some more?
Did you see the new background, Liv? You got to watch all the goodies, Liv.
What?
You got to watch all the goodies. Look at your screen.
Oh, cool.
Isn't that neat? It's like Tron.
That was such a good series.
Yeah.
I'll shut up. Next thing you know, we'll end up on movies for the next.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
40 minutes.
Not tonight. Hey, what's going on, Tommy? What's going on, everybody? Watching from everywhere. Good. Good. Friday night. Let's see if we can get some people on. We'll be back in about 2.5 minutes. So we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.
Shout out to Spreely.
Mm-hmm.
So confused, you feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up on the facts. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's
It's Red Friday, RED Friday, which stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. A movement designed to honor veterans and deployed U.S. troops by wearing a red shirt every Friday. As simple as that may be, Red Friday is a great way to back those who serve our country. Go to DUMShow.com and search for Red Friday to get your red on.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me show, otherwise known as The DUM Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The DUM Show on social media or thedumshow.com.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me podcast /show/news/ clothing stores / we're getting in everything. I mean, we're going to have the musical soon. Olivia Spear is in the middle. She likes it in the middle. And
the Matt and Leroy sandwich, apparently.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Just saying. And Leroy at the end.
Honey, bring me the lube.
Where he likes to be, where Leroy likes to be in the end. What's going on? What's going on, group?
Not too much. How was your week?
It's busy. It was busy. That's the best I can describe. Insane busy. But I'll be honest with you. This is about the most productive week I've had probably in at least 3 years.
The headlines
since I started,
have been unbelievable.
Yeah, they really have. And we got 5 live shows, 4 recorded shows. So, you're talking almost 20 hours of content. We got 7 or 8 articles up, some great memes. We generated over 250,000 additional interactions this week, which is great. Right. Which is just amazing.
That's on fire.
Yeah. So we're doing well. Things are good. Spreely is really coming together. They're putting some revenue models together. We have a meeting tomorrow. Olivia and I will be sitting down with Spreely and sitting down with Terry tomorrow. Sitting down with Terry and having a conversation. Why?
Because the interview's tomorrow.
It doesn't matter.
Just making sure there's not conflict of interest.
Okay, so when we do the show, do you understand that like it's just like a suspension of disbelief where you don't need to be like, oh, really? When? Because I'm just kind of throwing it out there, and we don't need to do that like right now. So like we can do it tonight. We can do it tomorrow. We'll figure it out. Terry wants to have a conversation, and you know what? That's more important than any interview. So I'm kind of like, if it means that we can pay the rent, I'm all about it. How about you?
Yep.
So we'll make it anytime. So anyway, yeah, we're going to do that. Olivia, you're
Big
off this
shout
weekend?
out to Spreely, by the way. My God. They do an amazing job.
They're just killing it for us. They've been doing such a great job, and it's exciting. So when I hear that, it's all about like, great. I love to hear it. So anyway, welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Liv.
Yes.
What time are we supposed to be doing that interview?
1 o'clock.
Is that live or recorded?
No, it's recorded.
Okay. So we'll do a 1 o'clock interview, and Terry will probably want to meet in the morning, and just because we're sitting down with Chelsea and talking about launching the campaign. I mean, we're about to go out to 150,000 people a month, so it's gonna get crazy and it's gonna get busy, and we got to do it. Whose birthday is it?
Victoria Robinson. She is watching on her birthday, so
gotta speak up, honey.
Aw, happy birthday!
Can you grab that,
Victoria?
Put it right up there. Get that sucker right up to your voice. And I've already got it boosted up as high as I can go. So give me a test.
Testing 1 2 3.
How's that? Can you do it again?
Testing 1 2 3.
Oh, that's horribly low. So can you the mic? Hey Ben, remember what I taught you?
Yes.
Mic's got to be up and right here. And what it is you're talking. Look at me. You're talking over it.
Okay.
So you got to pick it up. You got to like bend the thing and twist it. Not there. And the other elbow and get it up in the air.
You got all messed up when Hayden.
Yeah, it's cool. Let's just fix it real fast so we can do the show. And something we should probably do before we're on air, I would assume. Yeah. All right, get that sucker up there. There you go. Stick it. Let's see if this works. Sorry, folks. We apologize. We don't like to do this. This happens on occasion. We got a lot of people watching, and we certainly don't want to lose people. So hang with us as we try to fix the mic.
The glitch.
Okay. Turn it down more because it's at your nose. There you go.
Is that better?
Talk.
Testing 1 2 3.
A little bit closer.
Testing 1 2 3.
That's how you talk.
Okay.
Okay. Got it?
Got it.
Don't do it again.
Well, as long as Hayden doesn't have to record anything, we have to move the mic.
No, it's not that. It's just it gets moved, and we gotta that's what sound check's for, right? So it's resetting everything and getting our station dialed in, and it's just learning. Anyway, point being, off to a rough start, but it's about to get better. So tonight there's a lot going on. Leroy, you've been in pocket. Olivia, you've had a chance to see last night. You saw the Tucker interview with Vladimir Putin. What were your thoughts?
It was interesting, the fact that he's giving us a history lesson of Russia, and I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, I guess. But after a while, it just kind of started to drone on, and I found myself checking out a little bit. Yeah, and it got a little boring. And to be honest, I'm kind of happy that Biden talked last night, because I was like, I was starting to fade a little bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, and a lot of it was, until the end, because there were some interesting things that took place. But I went back and rewatched it this morning and then decided to kind of write up my thoughts on it. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, you can. You go over to news.thedumshow, and it is right here. Whoops. It's right here. Whoops. Let's do that. Okay. There we go. You can go into it. This thing's got a few hundred views on it already and seems to be doing fairly well. But do a complete breakdown of about 5 things he said in the interview. Thanks to the Mirror, they provided the video without consent. So thank you for doing that. And got a breakdown of it. So take a look and head on over there. Yeah, we don't ask for consent. So, in my opinion, I thought that it was a whole lot of nothing. And it's what I've been trying to say for the last 2 years in this war, is that Russia is their number one. There's 3 things that they're prolific at. 1 is mechanized division. 2, which is being horrible at resupply of that mechanized division, which makes them completely useless. And 3, disinformation. This has made Russia a superpower of epic proportion. And you remember I said, and Libra and I discussed this, that them in the road to Kyiv was going to be like grandmothers defending a narrow passageway between 2 rock mountains, and having a battalion move up it. They could defend it with a broomstick. And this is very similar to what happened in Kyiv. So needless to say, is an interesting article. Give it a read. Your thoughts, Leroy, on the whole thing? Did you have a chance to watch it?
I caught part of it. I caught the highlights of it. And what I did like is the fact that, Tucker asked some pretty pointed questions. He was like, hey, did you tell us about the pipeline, the Nord Stream pipeline, who you thought did it? And Putin was like, well, I think you did it.
Yeah, CIA.
So there was some humor lumped in there, which was nice. That being said, there was a lot of nothing. It was a lot of evading things where he needed to. And to Olivia's point, a lot of him explaining why we are at the point in history that we are. And I thought that, that part of it could have been better done, but I get it.
How do you control Putin?
Exactly. If you're in his house and you go ahead and start thrashing him, politically while he's during an interview, it's highly likely that the interviewee is going to end up with a needle behind the ear, and we'd never see Tucker again. So, I get it.
Right. One of the interesting things that we didn't get to, and if you guys let us know if all of our volume is level, if Olivia sounds good, if Leroy sounds good, that's important to us. So if we're not coming in 5x5, let us know. Or Lima Charlie, or whatever you prefer. What I found the most interesting is his defense of Boris Yeltsin was extremely interesting to me. It's the first time I've heard Vladimir Putin speak well of any post-USSR president. He does not speak well of Gorbachev. He does not speak well of Yeltsin. He has said good things about Andropov and Khrushchev. Stalin and Lenin, he's had his appreciation for. But nothing in regards to Yeltsin and Gorbachev as positive, which I believe he blames them for the splintering of the Politburo and the KGB and the fracturing and funding of the mafioso types and oligarchs in Russia, which took over their country after they left Cold War Russia and tried to move to I guess you would say, a more democracy-based form of government. Even changing from the former Soviet Union, the yellow sickle hammer and field of red, to red, white, and blue, which is, or was it? I think it was white, blue, and red. It was in dyslexic order. But anyway, the point being is it's an interesting thing to see him talk about Yeltsin. The Evan Gershkovich.
I didn't catch the part where he was it?
Yeah, well, he was like, listen, the United States called him a drunk, and United States called him an alcoholic and discredited him, and so the fact that he was somewhat, I mean, he was there to defend Russia, so I think that he would have stolen, he would have supported the Tsar and Anastasia at that point. I don't think there's anything. I think this guy would have been positive with the Bolsheviks. Anything Russia would have been a positive spin.
Yeah.
But Evan Grzegorevich,
He probably looks at the Gulag Archipelago and goes, they didn't take it far enough.
Right. Listen, Crimea, I just want to put my arms around and just kind of get back to giving them their sovereignty.
Squeeze.
And yeah. So the Evan Grzegorevich, who is the American journalist who was over there, who was caught with classified documents according to Russia, and was a journalist, and these documents, it appears to be that he was indeed spying for the United States, or at least obtaining information from a confidential status, and he is under lock and key. And we are going to get to the Katie Collins thing, but I just figured we'd recap the Putin interview with Tucker. But the interesting thing is I was watching Tim Pool this morning, and Tim Pool comes out and he goes, Putin made a big mistake. And I'm like, one mistake? Because there were several, a complete revision history of the entire, from the 800s on of just this complete disillusioned Russia. And from a perspective of what us, we've done nothing wrong. We just we are the victims, and it's like, oh my God, dude, seriously? Even when he tried to go into, they killed our KGB and Politburo members, in the 80s during the Cold War. It's like, dude, really? Because you killed a shit ton of FBI and CIA. So you guys want to, where the bodies are, bro. So don't give me that crap. Reagan did plenty of killing of Russians, but so did you. And anyway, Tim Pool.
It's funny.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
I was just going to say,
ahead.
it's funny. We were talking about that literally at work today. And we were like, man, can you believe some of the crap that he said? And specifically with the idea that Russia always plays the victim. I was like, there is a little bit of grain of truth in there.
Sure, there is.
For years and years and years, right? We said that we wouldn't expand NATO beyond a certain point.
Sure.
And if you look at NATO, like where it first started off, that line from Moscow to the Iron Curtain, right, was about 1,500 miles at one point. But just due to the collapse of Russia and then all of the countries that, flipped to NATO, that buffer between Moscow and the rest of the world shrank from 1,500 miles down to a couple of hundred miles.
Yeah.
And so when you're like, you see them kind of playing the victim card, you're like, well,
I get it. Well, here's the thing. We wouldn't have needed NATO if you didn't start going on a land grab after World War II.
Exactly.
So, so like I said, MacArthur and Patton both wanted to go into Russia right after they dropped the bombs in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Once they had Japanese surrender, Germany was over. They wanted to go and march to Moscow. And the United States ultimately would have been the only superpower. China would not be where it's at today, because that would have been our only adversary. There would be no Cold War with Russia. But that also puts us in a completely different situation where we wouldn't have militarized to the level that we had. So everything happens for a reason. True. But to pretend that, listen, Russia's, I'm not saying, I'm not unsympathetic to Russia. I listen, I've been there. I've been to 5 different ports in Russia. I've been to Moscow. I've been outside the Kremlin. It's a beautiful country. The people are a hard people, but they're a loving people. I've got no problem with Russia. I don't like the elements of Russia that we work against and worked against, and those sons of bitches are, I'm not a big fan of. But needless to say, Russia has gotten some pretty poor treatment, but it doesn't necessarily mean all's fair in love and war, folks. And I would rather be speaking English than Sputnik. Okay. That's pretty much it. So let's move on from this. But the one thing is what Tim Pool was saying, and I want to quickly get everybody's thoughts, is with the Evan Grzegorevich is journalist. Tim Pool, I was just listening. I was ready to go in the shower, and I always like to listen to Tim Pool when I'm about to get naked. So as I'm walking in there,
Should I worry?
no, not at all.
He only lives down the road, right?
No, I just
So,
want. He does live down the road, and I want to wear his hat. So why I'm not on his show once, I don't know. Just so he
Not
could
on his head, though. Not going on his head.
I got to get on his show anyway. So he starts talking, and I don't disagree with Tim much. I mean, when he talks about Civil War and all that, I'm just like, okay, come on, Tim, stop. You sound like Glenn Beck. But he goes, Putin screwed up big time. And I'm listening to him. He goes, when Tucker Carlson said, "Will you release Grzegorz to us and let us take him back home now?" And Putin's like, no, but we are open to lines of communication, which basically means I want a haul bigger than Brittany Griner. You gave us the Merchant of Death. Now you basically need to give us the DNA clones of Stalin and Lenin, and the Fabergé egg from the czars in order to get Grzegorz. But that's what he's saying. So anybody who thought, and what Tim was saying was, it would have given Putin credibility for what he was saying with the American public and make the journalists look like jackasses. As he came home on a plane with this guy, Tucker Carlson would have this prisoner and negotiated the release, and it would give Putin credibility in the world stage. And my thoughts were, I completely disagree with Tim Pool. One is that Putin's doing it simply for political capital. We know this, but
yep.
I think that the media would even be more circumspect of Tucker Carlson and said, how in the hell, he is a Russian puppet. This is all a ploy. This is, Tucker Carlson is in bed with Russia because he asks him and he gives it to him. How did he get the interview to begin with? So these journalists are already extremely jealous that Tucker Carlson got this interview. They're so pissed off that he did, and that they're actually have been asking forever. I think it would have done the absolute opposite. I think it would even create more dissension towards Tucker, more dissension towards Trump, more jealousy. And so I don't agree with Tim Pool on this, but that's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
Liv?
I don't have much of an opinion on this, to be completely honest.
Okay,
It's
fair enough.
way
Well,
above my pay grade.
That's fine. Go ahead, Leroy.
I think that the fact that Tucker was able to secure that interview, I have to imagine that if you're one Vladimir Putin, one dictator of the biggest country in the world, that you can be somewhat selective, but you're also only going to take the interview to the point for which you can control it. So I have to imagine that there was some sort of amenable, chemistry ahead of time. And so that within itself does lead to a little bit of, criticism, like why, but to that end, I mean, Tucker Carlson, who definitely leans, more Republican and right leaning, interviewing this leader that is currently undergoing an attempted genocide, in Ukraine and Crimea. There's several aspects to it that I was kind of dubious about, but then when I watched that part of the interview, or at least the parts that I saw, I was like, all right, well, there's some legitimate, there's some legitimate traction here in terms of journalism. So yeah.
Well, there was some wicked cringe uncomfortability at the beginning. Like the first 35 minutes, I was just like, holy shit. Like you could freeze vodka on, on Putin's ass. So, but anyway, all right. Well, listen, we've talked enough about this. I want to get to, this is an interesting thing. I had some things to say about Stefanik, and she's obviously Elise Stefanik, Representative Elise Stefanik. Sorry, show her the respect. I think the lady's very pleasant. I think she's very sharp, very smart. I don't like her voting record. I think her voting record is garbage. I think she's one of the worst Republican voting records when it comes to the Liberty score. But needless to say, this conversation that she has with Katie Collins, who basically looks like Cary Grant with hair.
Yeah.
People are questioning if Katie Collins is a guy. People are just being mean. This is the one who interviewed Trump, who was just like a bulldog on Trump on her first day and would not stop coming after Trump. And Trump just embarrassed her. He's like, well, actually, let me pull out the notes, and like he does. So anyway, this Stefanik interview, Olivia, you can help us because it's chicks, and chicks have a secret code, and I'm sure you're going to be able to figure it out. So I like this interview for a couple of reasons, and I want to talk about it. And I've obviously got some things to say, but let's listen to it. And this has to do with the election. And what Katie Collins is trying to do is to discredit in the eyes of any moderate voters, because she's a female, that she believes in the stolen election. And I love how she puts it, because I've been saying this crap for 3 years, and she literally says exactly. It's amazing that the Trump narrative has all of a sudden changed to what I've been saying for 3 years. And one of the only people, you know what, I got to take credit. I'm one of the only people that I know on the conservative platform who's been saying this thing for 3 freaking years. Before Mark Levin started to spout, and Mark Levin's went back to the stolen election thing. But you look at all the major ones. You look at Charlie Kirk, you look at Dinesh D'Souza, you look at Sebastian Gorka, even look at Bongino, Crowder, all of them believe that the election was stolen. None of them are saying this, but it's amazing. The Trump team has now moved to this unconstitutional election thing I've been espousing. I'm wondering where my apology basket, where's my fruit basket from everybody saying they're sorry? Let's listen to this, and you guys can figure out when you're going to send that to me. Here it is.
Presidency, because you just said that you would be willing to serve in a Trump administration. Had you been vice president on January 6, 2021, what would you have done?
I stood up for the Constitution. I believe
No,
it was
what would you have done if you were vice president?
I would not have done what Mike Pence did. I don't think that was the right approach. I specifically stand by what I said on the House floor, and I stand by my statement, which was there was unconstitutional overreach. There was unconstitutional overreach in states like Pennsylvania, and I think it's very important that we continue to stand up for the Constitution and have legal and secure elections, which we did not have in 2020. And the tens of millions of Americans agree with me, Caitlin.
Well, I would say the Supreme Court in the state of Pennsylvania said that Republican passed changes to their law was constitutional. But it's notable to hear you say, given you're in the running to be the vice president, that you would have rejected those votes. Come this election, when Vice President Harris is in that position, would you be okay if she rejected the votes if Donald Trump wins?
Listen, we need to make sure the election is constitutional and legal. We're talking about Democrats. Legal. It was not, Caitlin. It was unconstitutional when there was circumventing state legislatures unilaterally changing election law. I stand by my statement on the House floor. And
What?
What did you been saying that for how long?
What
how long have you been saying that on this show? How long?
Remember all the people? Do you remember all the people who said, Matt, you're an election, you're just crazy, and you're just a plant, and you're wrong, and it would. How about now? Where are you all at?
They called you like a right-wing extremist at several points. I mean,
they also called me a rhino.
Guy had like violence threatened against him and his family because of what he just said.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Let's listen to it again, because I just want to bask in the glow. I want to swim in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Constitutional and legal. We're talking about Democrats. It was not, Caitlin. It was unconstitutional when there was circumventing state legislatures unilaterally changing election law. I stand by my statement on the House floor. And again, tens of millions of Americans agree with that statement and have
now they do
about the validity and
legality are so endowed.
After threatening my daughter's life and my wife.
Questions on the constitutionality.
Because Republicans are
let me say this for you. When it comes to this election, we are seeing the Democrats trying to remove President Trump from the ballot. That is not constitutional. That is not a legal and safe, secure election. That's literally what's being discussed at the Supreme Court today, because radical leftists can't stand the fact that Donald Trump continues to skyrocket in the polls and Joe Biden continues to plummet. And when you get outside of CNN, if you get outside of CNN and talk to hardworking American people like in my...
I'm a firm believer that big girls need love too. and it's never bothered me. Like, I'm not a tubby chaser, never been a tubby chaser, but I don't care.
Tubby chaser?
A tubby chaser, yes, honey. Slim women, fat women, brown women, white women, big women, small women. It doesn't matter. As long as you're a woman and you can wear houndstooth like that, you're okay with me. Anyone that can wear a houndstooth sweater like that, she's fine with me. Good for her. Just thought I'd let you know. Just, Olivia, you don't have to be uncomfortable, right? Because it's all about ratings.
Why would I be uncomfortable?
You're not, which I love, because I know you love the jacket. Like you love her. I know.
Absolutely.
I know you do.
I'd totally wear it.
I know you
Really?
do. And you'd make.
I just don't know where I'd wear it, but
I know where you'd wear it. And wear it in the bedroom and nothing else. Okay, here we go.
Like across this country, they want to see new leadership in President Trump, and that's why he's going to win.
You deleted a statement that was on your website recently calling January 6th
publicly
a tragic
available
day.
on
Why
all of my
was it deleted, though?
Listen to
I
her.
have all my public statements from the current Congress. You can access all of my previous public statements from.
But why was it deleted from your website?
I only have the press releases from this current Congress. All of those statements are available.
Yeah, and here's why. Because there's a new Congress, a new freshman class that comes in, and just because it's an election year, there's still congressmen elected in off years and odd years of the actual freshman Congress. So there's constantly new congressmen coming in every year. So they're called sessions, and the sessions are broke up into varying degrees of time. And those laws and those votes are placed, and depending upon the time and the position, as a state legislature, 2 years, as a senator, 6 years, as a governor, 4 years with a single term in a lot of states, but sometimes sequential terms are okay and split terms are okay. It just depends upon the state. Virginia is, you can actually not serve consecutive terms here in Virginia. In fact, you get one term and then you can come back and do it. Actually, you can't. You get one term completely. So we're going to lose Youngkin. Anyway, point being is that they're going to put their pieces of legislation on their website and then they're going to scrub it. And the reason why is because if you haven't searched people's voting records from the state legislature, it is absolutely a quagmire. So what she's saying is, on a database like social media, which is not her expense, she puts all of her posts up and she scrubs her website to keep it clean and simple every single year. Who cares? But she is saying, I've got all these all over my social media. They're easily accessible. I'm not trying to hide anything. And of course, you know, Katie Collins is trying to go ahead and make a mountain out of a molehill. What's new?
Right. Right.
Here's the rest.
I was elected on multiple social media accounts, and you can access it there. Just
So it
like
wasn't a
everyone
retraction of what you said?
I have no, certainly not. I have press releases for this current Congress. And
so would love to get some thoughts on this. And Olivia, that's your first interaction with Elise Stefanik. It's not your first with Katie Collins. With the female observation skills of recognizing how women talk to each other and their signals, can you educate us men on how the tension was in that room, if any at all?
Yeah, Caitlin has absolutely no respect for Stefanik. Absolutely none whatsoever. She had a smug look on her face the whole time. She's got an air of superiority, and she thinks she's better than her. And you can just tell just by her posture, the way she talked. She didn't let her finish. And she did the same bulldog thing she tried with Trump, which was ask a question and you're not getting the answer you want. So I'm going to push it again and push it again and push it again until I get the answer you want. Well, unfortunately, Stefanik's not backing down and she's saying the same thing.
I have a question. Both of you guys.
Leroy,
do you feel like
pull your mic back just a little bit? It's really hot.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you feel like that air of superiority that Olivia is talking about? Do you feel like that's a leftist trait?
Yes, absolutely.
It's an elitist trait for sure. But I think not only does she feel that she's intellectually superior to Elise Stefanik, she feels that she is, from an aesthetic point of view, she doesn't find her to be valuable. It's the same way they look at Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Because she's not a size 6 or a size 4, they immediately discredit her. Or because she has a Southern accent like Kat Kamik, or you know, you can even go back to Sarah Palin, that somehow somebody with an accent that isn't you know, California based or Northern New York, that they are somehow a knuckle dragger or not intelligent. So I think she disrespects her from an intelligence level and from a point of physicality. I think she demeans her.
Yeah, a lot of people think Southern women are just dumb ditzes, and it's not true. But I mean, I'm not a Southern woman. I've lived in the South quite a while, but I'm not a Southern woman. but just because you've got a Southern accent doesn't mean you're dumb.
Right. Well, it shouldn't. Listen, I love the South. I love the cooking. I love the culture. I love the people. It's a simpler lifestyle. We are considered the South here in Virginia, which is
just
stupid.
blows my mind. I don't understand it.
It's not, but it does have a Southern hospitality here, and definitely in the smaller towns. So to me, I think this is just a level of disrespect for Stefanik, is because she's a loyalist to Trump. She is a possible VP candidate, and the establishment doesn't like her. I don't see her as a VP. She gives nothing to Trump. Right now, whether you like Nikki Haley or not, it doesn't matter. She's running 14.5% to 15% on Super Tuesday states. Everyone's like, see, she's going to lose. That's not the point, people. She's not trying to win. She's trying to make it impossible for Donald Trump not to pick her as a VP candidate. I don't understand why I have to keep spelling these things out for you. I can lead you to drink, but I can't make you take a sip. I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. How many times are you going to just deny and not hear what I'm trying to say? If she pulls out in Super Tuesday and gets anywhere from 12 to 15% of the national vote on Super Tuesday, you're looking at the next vice president of the United States.
When is Super Tuesday?
Month. End of March.
Okay.
I think. Maybe longer. I don't remember. I'm too tired. It doesn't matter. The point is that she provides something that Stefanik can't provide, Vivek Ramaswamy can't provide, Noem can't provide, Ben Carson. Ben Carson actually is probably the second best choice because he's going to provide a lot of black vote. He's going to provide a lot of the South. Surprisingly enough, he's going to bring an element, but it's still not as much as Nikki Haley brings. It doesn't matter whether you like Nikki Haley or not. The question is, as a vice president, the only good the vice president is for is literally the next 9 months. That's it. So who cares whether you like her or not? Who cares whether you like her policy? Just get her in the door. Then she can ride Trump's coattails, and then she's going to pick Youngkin as a running mate, folks, in 2028. And that is a ticket that cannot lose.
Do you think DeSantis is going to come back in 28?
He may. But the point is that either Nikki Haley runs with Youngkin or runs with DeSantis. Honestly, DeSantis should stay in the governorship. He's right where we need him in Florida. That is a huge state. We got to have those electoral votes because we're waning in other. There's a shift happening. A shift is happening in the electorate where the Northeast states are starting to lean a little bit more Republican, and the Pacific Northwest and the South, Hispanic areas, are starting to turn. So that means we have to go and get North Carolina, South Carolina, Maine, or New Hampshire. We have to start turning the eastern seaboard a little bit. And the way you do that is you ensure you have East Coast politicians. Glenn Youngkin is an East Coast politician. He'll deliver Virginia in 2028.
Question.
What?
Can you see comments from Spreely?
I can't.
Okay. Because we have a question. So I didn't know if you could see him.
Oh, we have Spreely person?
Yeah, we actually have several people on Spreely.
All right, give
now.
it to me. Give it to me.
Really?
Give it to me.
Let's go.
Yeah, they're all from Facebook, or other channels. They're
That's
all
fine.
big fans. But do you think she'd be a good VP?
It's not about being a good VP. I think she delivers votes. I think she delivers to Trump what he doesn't have. And Stefanik and she's fine. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders is fine, but she delivers MAGA. The moderates don't like Sarah Huckabee. And we know this because she had to go to Arkansas to be governor. If she tried to run anywhere else outside of Rust Belt, she probably would lose. She was very contentious as press secretary, a great press secretary. I loved her. But look what The View said to her. Look what Hillary Clinton said about her. They tried to destroy her. The only reason they didn't go after Kayleigh McEnerney is because she looks like she's one of them, right? So once again, what does Carrie Lake bring? MAGA. What does Ben Carson bring? MAGA. What does Ben Carson bring? MAGA. What does Stefanik bring? MAGA. What does Noem bring? MAGA. Nikki Haley brings moderates, blue-collar Democrats,
Women.
and conservatives who are disenfranchised with Trump. That's what she brings. And 15, if he can get that 15% that she has nationally, he's going to win. Biden doesn't stand a farking chance because that is a viable VP. Nobody wants Kamala Harris, but people are like, Nikki Haley's young. She's well put together. She's smart. Yeah, she's a little bit of a war hawk. She has those neocon conservative tropes. We understand that. But if we've learned anything over the last 4 years, the president doesn't get to make any decisions. Can we just let this out?
That's
that the
true.
executive, Nikki Haley will sign those executive orders. She'll put 96 executive orders back in action with what Donald Trump put in. If she's president, we know this. She has to run on the Republican platform because then she's not going to get anywhere in Congress. She'll have a lame duck presidency. They're not going to let her go declare war against everybody because the president doesn't get to do that. We're seeing that with Biden. He can't even help Israel, for God's sakes, because he's neutered by Congress and the Senate. So we just need to relax. Let's get in office and then we can worry about it. Right now, you need the most votes possible. All right. So now we've talked about that. Thanks for asking on Spreely TV. What we got? Any other Spreely stuff?
No, that's the only question.
What about JFK Jr.? I don't want a person who believes in abortion. I don't want a person who wants to grab guns.
It's RFK, isn't it?
Yeah, it's RFK. It doesn't
Whatever the
matter.
hell.
That's what the guy asked. I know who he's talking about. Nobody wants RFK is an absolute liberal. Okay, he's just like Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard has one of the most progressive policies and platforms in 2020. She's more progressive than Kamala Harris. She was more progressive than Tulsi effing Gabbard. She was more progressive than Elizabeth Warren. You know, Pocahontas, dots not feather, or feathers not dots. So give me a break. So we need, listen, I don't care if a neocon is in there. I don't care. Because that is the entire Washington, D.C. anyway. That's the establishment. And if we're going to get anything done, Trump is going to need somebody who can negotiate overseas with Saudi Arabia, with Israel, that can go ahead and lay the gauntlet down. She has Indian blood in her, man. I'm telling you right now, she's a tough fighter and she's a negotiator. Women are not respected overseas in the Middle East, but they are feared. It's the truth, especially Americans. British and American women are kind of held at arm's length. They get things done. That's why she made a great UN ambassador. All right. So enough. Leroy, did you want to add anything onto that?
No. The analysis that you put forth behind that is everything that I was thinking anyway.
Fair enough. All right. So we're going to go into a quick break. We're going to be right back. Hang tight. We've got the brand new, excited to announce, and we've been talking about this for the last few nights. We had the documents of freedom books, man, in a custom wooden case, navy blue, matte finish, all wood, all made in America. It is engraved. It's got reversed embossed stars. They're not flat. These actually go in and are three-dimensional. And it keeps all three of the books, the Documents of Freedom. Constitution of the United States has the Bill of Rights and also has the Declaration of Independence. Going to show you a quick video on that. We'll be right back. And this is a pee break for everybody involved. And then we're going to get to the second segment. So we'll be right back. Hey, what's going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me podcast. It's interesting. I've had these books for, 3 years now. And I've got... 3 independent books of the Declaration, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution of the United States that I inherited from my mother. Leather-bound, beautiful, and they're older books, 1935, 1937, something to that effect. I'll show them on the show, but people see me reference these nightly on the show, and the interesting thing is I've never really put two and two together. We have a website, and someone asked last night, hey, how the heck do I get those books? Where do I get those books? And it dawned on me that I should provide these. So they are now on sale. They're beautiful books. They're leatherette books. They're hardback, which is nice. They don't have a dust cover or anything. I've used these, like I said, ad nauseum, and they hold up and they stand the test of time. They've got pictures of the framers, founders, inside the books. They make references with different colors to kind of explain things in a little bit of a simpler way or give some context. But these books, word for word, are the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. They are absolutely stunning. You get each book individually for $15.99 over at thedumshow.com. We also have a bundle over there where you can save $5 on all three for $44.99. And last but not least, the pictures you've just been looking at and the video is the Documents of Freedom, custom made by PFC Flags, comes in an amazing, beautiful decorative box for $64.99. Stop by thedumshow.com and take a look. They're available right now. So we're going to go ahead and move. Hey, knock it off. Real quick, one link that Olivia just put up is Link Tap Go. Spreely has helped us out with it. It's now linking in Facebook, YouTube. You should be able to see it. You click on that. It has all of the links to the Don't Unfriend Me show, which is kind of a cool thing. It's a lot easier to find everything in one shot. So if you come here, you can see it's got the site, donation, Spreely TV. Everything's right here at a click. You just punch it, and you're immediately taken to all of our sites to watch the shows. We have a new cover on the front. Hope you enjoy that. I'm flexing the arms of freedom and democracy. All right, so we're going to get into this second segment here, and this is about Leroy in regards to the SCOTUS. We know we've done a couple articles on this, talking about the Supreme Court, the decision that's up here, which is extremely important to the ballot. Leroy, take it away. I know we have a video. When you want me to play that, let me know, brother.
Oh, you can play it anytime you want. But the main point here is that in the next couple of days, SCOTUS is going to be kind of finally putting out their decision about whether or not certain states can remove former President Trump from balloting. Right. So the idea here is that if these states can keep him off of the ballot, then there is no potential path to an electoral victory for former President Trump. Now, is that constitutional or not? That's what the SCOTUS is going to be deciding. Now, in true political fashion, whenever I see something like this, I have to imagine that there are some Republican politicians who have at least contemplated, hey, maybe because of a failure to support Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, maybe we should keep current President Biden off of the ballot in some red states. I know Matt's opinion in dealing with in listening to Tim Pool about things like hot topics like the potential for a civil war, and I'm not alluding to that, but I am wondering if it does get to this point, right? If we do get to a point in history where the Supreme Court says, yes, such and such state can keep former President Trump off of their balloting, right? I wonder how long it will be before red states reciprocate and try to do the same thing. And then at that point, then pretty much every red state and every blue state will, I could see it devolving into a route like that where, oh, well, we just don't like that person. Doesn't matter the fact that former President Trump was never charged with insurrection, never charged, never convicted. That's not the point, because that's what these states are saying. They're saying, well, we feel like he was guilty of insurrection, even though he's never charged with it, right? And so if we're kind of hinging an entire election on, well, we still think he's guilty, then how far are we behind from red states saying, well, we feel like, the current president isn't upholding the principles behind the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. And if we can keep him off of our balloting, you're going to see a lot of this tit for tat, which is exactly what politics is, right? It's this tit for tat. If you do this, I'm going to react in this way. And so that's the question that I posed earlier today on the site, and just open for discussion.
Can we listen to this segment real quick? I recorded this yesterday, and I really want to listen to this. We can and everyone we can watch the video afterwards, because I think this adds perspective exactly what you're talking about. Article 3, what are the links between a Confederate general or a Confederate soldier who was guilty of sedition just by signing with the CSA, okay? And fighting against the Union was considered seditious behavior and treason. Although the United States did not act upon that, I think there was enough death at that point. But the question is, what's the difference between that and Donald Trump? Well, first of all, there is a huge difference. Let's listen to this, and then we're going to watch that video. Olivia, I want to get your opinion on this, and Leroy. So let's listen in. Probably been asked more in the last. I would say. I got to. Okay, here we go. Let's listen. You know, talk about a question that has probably been asked more in the last, I would say, year than any other question. And it's difficult to decide, what will the Supreme Court do? Will the Supreme Court be apolitical? Will they do what's best based on the Constitution of the United States and the letter of the law? Or will personal politics come into play? And I think a good judge, a jurist with prudence, will side and err on the Constitution, but also listen to what the constituents and other jurists say. And if you look at most court decisions, they usually reference other cases, other precedent, and also the people sitting alongside them to base their decision on. And in this, you have to decide, is Donald Trump an officer of the United States? Was he charged with insurrection? And when you look at the reserve powers of the states, the problem with that language is that it's pluralized. And it makes it sound like it's the reserve power of the states when it's truly the reserve power of the state. And each state gets to decide, based upon their constitution, what is best for them. However, this is a federal election. And if you want to talk about state legislature or dog catcher or county clerk, that is a completely different conversation. And when it comes to the President of the United States, it is a federal election, and it's based off the Electoral College. And there is no other election process like it. I think the Supreme Court will rule in favor of Donald Trump in this case. He has not been charged with insurrection. It was an old underlying rule for ex-Confederate generals and military personnel to not be able to run for office. And that was because it was such a tumultuous and difficult time for the North and the South that they felt, along with the 3/5 compromise, that giving the South unfettered access to policy and to the politics of the United States by giving them equal representation right after a conflict would be detrimental to the health of the country in the future. To compare Donald Trump and January 6th, but there's no sinew of Donald Trump executing orders for an insurrection. In fact, It's absolutely the opposite if you listen to his speech truly and take the time to listen or at least just read it. You cannot come to the conclusion that Donald Trump was calling for an insurrection. Now, the behavior leading before or after, that's immaterial to the conversation, because the charge is that on January 6th, Donald Trump commanded people to take over the government and to perform a coup. He hasn't been charged with insurrection. Nobody's been charged with insurrection. So the argument from the Democrats and the liberals is, well, wait a second. Because he wasn't charged doesn't mean anything. They didn't charge those Confederate generals. Well, their actions were not in dispute. Military action has consequence, and it is under a completely different code of conduct than civilian law. Donald Trump most assuredly is a civilian now. When he was president of the United States, he was never in the military. He didn't make decisions based upon military rules and regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice on the battlefield in the heat of the moment with someone else commanding him to do his job, unlike Joe Biden. but specifically made those decisions based on the Constitution of the United States. The constitutionality of those decisions are prescribed in the Constitution, and was executing his position as he deemed fit, as he was elected by the people of the United States and represents all 50 states. Donald Trump is not the president of the people. You may have given him that honorary moniker, but he is the president of the states, and that is the truest thing I can tell you. His responsibility are the governors of the states. And he executes his office in protection of these borders and the accumulated states in the Union. Was there an insurrection? No. Is he an officer of the state? No. And if you want to remove Donald Trump, the simplest thing you can do is when you have the opportunity to go to the polls and vote, and both parties tell you to vote down ticket, I implore you to stop. Take a moment and identify every single person that you vote for. Are they working in the best interest of the United States? Are they working on the best interest, not only on what you consider to be the collective, but the individual? Because that is truly what is supposed to happen in a republic. The individual rights are paramount. The individual rights are the most important thing. They are the fuel, the bloodline. They are the heartbeat of this country. And the moment that we vote down ticket, assuming that because somebody puts a political party in front of their name, that they somehow are going to be beholden to our behest and the things that we want, is not only naive, it's just foolish. Donald Trump needs to be on the ballot. We need to make a decisive and clear vote for who we want to be the president of these individual states which form our country. The Supreme Court should not make that decision. So, in lieu of that, I want to go right into I want to go right into your video though, and I think because it's fresh in people's minds, and now they can, tie some of this together and see if it sticks. Listen to this, and
Colorado's
we'll be right
court's
back.
decision in Washington right now up here ready to reverse Colorado's court's decision to keep former President Donald Trump off the state's primary ballot.
Atlanta News First political reporter Doug Reardon is live with today's arguments. And Doug, another big development came out of Washington.
Watch Doug's face here. Doug's like, holy shit, Red. Of course. I'm 4 bottles into my morning breakfast. And I'll tell you what, I woke up with a Taiwanese hooker last night, and I've got an itch that won't quit.
As well.
Yeah, busy day in politics here, guys. Today, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene filed another ethics complaint, her second one in just about 2 months, against...
Hey, Mitch, great job picking right next to the busiest place in D.C. to go ahead and do your recording. Next time, I was wondering if you could just go in the Lincoln Tunnel and put earmuffs around the mic just to really make it impossible to hear you. It's like a Joe Biden press conference.
Attorney Fonnie Willis over that improper relationship that has taken center stage in this historic...
Right, we just had a double-decker bus come by London, Loke. The Thames River is just about two seconds away from me. I apologize. By the way, Big Ben's going to be going off, and Buckingham Palace is changing the guard. It's all royal horses, and they're wearing cobblestone cobblers on their feet. This is going to get really loud. Sorry.
Indictment now since it was filed last month. And so we'll get into that in a second. But first, let's talk about that very important hearing today that could get former President Donald Trump, who is now the GOP frontrunner, back on.
Tam, God bless. I'm so sorry to hear that. You are one of the nicest people in this show, and you always are so damn positive and thankful. God bless you. And we will all say a little prayer for your daughter for a strong recovery. Please let us know and keep us up to date. God bless you.
Ballot in a few states. Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution isn't the most well-known. In fact, Georgia State law professor Eric Siegel says most constitutional law professors gloss right over it in their teachings.
No one ever taught it before this year.
That's because this year, Colorado's highest court used that little-known provision to keep Donald Trump off the state's primary ballots. Section 3 was added to the Constitution after the Civil War and barred people who've engaged in, quote, rebellion or insurrection from holding office. But Siegel says there is lots of room for interpretation.
The idea is a good one, but to make it a real idea in real life with real courts and real politicians is unbelievably complicated.
This was the first time the Supreme Court has ever heard a case involving Section 3, and there's no timeline for their ultimate decision. But it could overturn the Colorado judge's ruling and place Trump's name back on the ballot there and in New Hampshire, whose high court made a similar decision. Siegel thinks that is exactly what will happen.
The Supreme Court is going to say states can't disqualify the president absent congressional authorization. Congress is not going to authorize that. He's not going to be disqualified.
That's right.
Also in Washington Thursday, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene filed her second ethics complaint against District Attorney Fonnie Willis, the woman prosecuting Trump in Fulton County. Greene told the Georgia State Ethics Commission that Willis's admission of a relationship with her top prosecutor should bar her from going any further with the historic indictment of Trump and others.
It's a conflict of interest, folks.
Big.
If you're diddling the frickin' prosecutor, that's a conflict of interest. And she ran on the whole thing of going after Trump, and then you diddle the prosecutor. How much? I can't wait for their bedside conversations when he's like, "Baby, just touch it, baby, touch it," and she's like, "Not unless you prosecute Trump." "Oh, baby, please, baby, just touch it once, just touch it real quick. Not unless I want your
beat it like it's an orange man, right?
Right." Yeah. I just spanked the ham to that 5 minutes ago. What ham did you spank?
And specifically, Congresswoman Taylor Greene was saying that Fonnie Willis failed to file personal financial disclosures the same year that she opened this investigation into former President Trump and others. It is far from the first and probably not the last attempt to get her off this case. And certainly we have seen a few of those this week. She will be here testifying to some of those allegations in just about a week from today. Live outside the Fulton County Courthouse. Doug Reardon, Atlanta News First.
Doug, thanks. And all of this is on the heels of Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis asking a...
Wow, Doug, thanks. That's just 5-star reporting. So
thanks for the broadcast right outside the RTA main station. That was fantastic.
That's right. Next time, could you be in the lunar module, re-entering Earth's orbit with an AM/FM antenna? Liv, you're from Colorado with me. It's where we spent a lot of our days. What do you think about the states removing Trump from the ballot? And based on what you kind of heard, what are your feelings and thoughts on it?
I think it's childish.
Speak up.
I think it's very childish. And they are trying to weaponize politics. And it's, well, we don't want him here, so we don't like him. We think he's going to beat our guy, so we're just going to kick him off. And
exactly,
they're the schoolyard bullies, and that's all they are. And they're doing everything in their power to make sure he doesn't win. And they've been trying to hit him with all the stuff. Nothing is sticking, and now they're a little bit worried, so they're trying to go the route that's not going to stick, but they're going to the extreme at this point, and they're trying anything. It's like throwing spaghetti noodles at the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah, we call that throwing shit at the wall to see if it sticks, but it's the same thing.
They're trying everything and anything to make sure that Trump doesn't win.
Yeah.
And it's unconstitutional, and it's not going to stick. And I think Colorado's going to regret doing this.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I listened to a lot of the jurists' questions, and it was brutal. Even Ketanji Brown Jackson went after the claimant who was presenting the case to the Supreme. And she lit him up like, listen, I told you guys with Ketanji Brown Jackson, you owe me an apology for that too, because you guys went all in this, but she can't describe women. I said, yeah, but she's a constitutionalist. She is a jurist who believes in the Constitution, and she's going to prove. I would be shocked if she does not vote along with that states cannot remove. I think it'll be a 9-0. I really do. Maybe an 8-1. There's one that
Who do you think would dissent?
You know who's going to dissent. If you had a guess, like let's run through the justices. Let's do it. Hold on. Let's do this fun. You asked the question. Yeah. Let's do it right. Let's go through. Hold on. So we'll do Supreme Court Justices list by name 2024. Just so we have what?
They're listening. That's what it is. That's the NSA. They're on to you.
What the shite? SCOTUS. I already know them all. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. 2024
see pictures.
Docket. Well, that's what I want. I want everyone to have a visual.
Somebody out there is going to say, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is going to say no.
No. Yeah. Sandra Day O'Connor is going to be really upset. I'm trying to find one that just has all of their pictures on it.
That does raise a really interesting point, right?
Yeah.
Think back to when Clarence was being interviewed. Could you imagine how that would go? Mr.
Completely.
Thomas, do you, what are your feelings on Joe Biden after, Joe raked him over the coals?
Yeah. So here's the list.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I wanted to have it over here with photographs so everyone could see it. So you've got Stephen Breyer, Associate Justice. Breyer is fairly liberal. However, he does tend to go with the flow of the other liberal judges. I would say he gets into politics a little bit. But in this case, election law is not his forte. And I think he goes the way that the rest of the court goes. He usually isn't a dissenting opinion just to be a dissenting opinion. I'm going to scoot over to the conservatives. John Roberts, 100% will vote in favor of Trump. Clarence Thomas, who was brilliant today and absolutely crushed with his questioning. He's like, right, give me an example. Give me precedent. He's like, well, this is very, in the states. Yeah, I know states. This is a federal election. It's just what I said. It's a federal election. Tell me federally. And I recorded mine before these tapes came out, so I'm just saying.
I didn't even know Clarence Thomas was speaking today about that. So that's
he crushed it. He crushed it. He just crushed him. And he was so nice about it too. Samuel Alito wants Trump. Neil Gorsuch, Trump. Now do you guys remember when I told you a while ago? Everyone's like, oh, well, they're putting on Amy Coney Barrett, they're putting on Kavanaugh, they're putting on Gorsuch because of abortion. And I said no. And then you guys said, oh no, they're putting them on because of Second Amendment. No. What did I tell you was Amy Coney Barrett's and Justice Brett Kavanaugh's absolute passion? Does anyone remember?
Constitution.
Election law.
Oh.
And they were for voter ID. 100% for voter ID. So Amy Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh are a lock. Now, people are upset because of the border thing. Honestly, the border thing was proper. The President of the United States has full control of the border, but you notice they left language in there. And because there were lower court district cases, if they would have made a judgment on this without these cases being heard, it would have absolutely broken the chain of command of law and the process of moving it up the chain of command in the courts. So I don't disagree with their decision. They did what was right with Texas. Texas replaced the wire. Move on, no harm done. Now, dissenting opinion. So that leaves Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan.
I think, yeah. One of the dummies actually commented, they said, where's Jackson?
Okay, well, it's on an updated list. That's after Ruth Bader kicked the bucket. So you got Ketanji Brown Jackson. I already told you what Ketanji Brown Jackson. I think she votes with conservatives. She's a constitutionalist. She's always been a constitutionalist. She even said in her confirmation that she was a constitutionalist, and I gave her credit for that. And she has, when it comes to her decisions, affirmed with the Constitution around 98% of the time. So I don't imagine her being a dissenting opinion. It's between Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan. And I think Kagan, what do you think, Leroy? Do you think they dissent, or do you think it's a 9-0?
Honestly, I think it should be a 9-0.
Well, actually, it'd be more than that. It'd be more than that, wouldn't it? How many current justices are on the bench?
I thought there was only supposed to be 9.
1, 2, 3, 4,
that's
5,
9
6,
pictures
7,
right
8,
there.
9. Hold on a second. Why is this? I think we're missing. Hold on. Go ahead. Answer the question, and I'll find out for you.
I don't see anybody who would dissent from that, not given for 2 reasons. Not only because of the Constitution, but also because we've seen in some cases where politics can play an enormous weight in terms of what the Supreme Court, and whether or not you want to say that's right or wrong, I would say that it's wrong. But I mean, in this case, like, I could see them weighing in the destruction of or elevating the potential for violence, right? Versus supporting the Constitution. Like that, I honestly think that that's what it comes down to, and I can't see anybody dissenting to say, "Oh no, let's definitely keep Trump off."
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
And I forgot, Samuel Alito is no longer on the Supreme Court. So quickly,
Yeah,
Coney
because
Barrett.
Jackson's there on the right, right?
Yeah. You got Ketanji Brown Jackson. You've got Kavanaugh here. You've got Gorsuch. You've got John Roberts here. Here. You've got Kagan. You've got Thomas. You've got Sotomayor. And then who am I missing? Stephen Breyer. Well, he's put on some weight. So that's currently where we're at. And in my opinion, honestly, like a 9-0 is what they need. So there's no dissension, right? Like they can't have this down party lines, because if it is, it's just going to divide. This is one of them, like Roe Wade and others, that they are going to have to vote with a super majority. And I imagine that it's either going to be 9-0 or 8-1. And I think either Kagan or Sotomayor dissent. I think Sotomayor will dissent. She's just a shitbag. She doesn't like the Constitution. She doesn't care about the Constitution. She's going to vote. I think Kagan will eventually. It depends, because Kagan kind of follows the leader, just like Breyer. Sotomayor runs the liberals, but I think Breyer, he's a constitutionalist. I think Kagan has demonstrated enough loyalty to the Constitution, and I think what I heard from argumentation today, they're all pretty much, it's going to be 8-1 or 9-0. And that is a resounding, it has to be, because then the states can go, well, you know what? It was a 7-2. It was a 6-3. We don't agree. Even they can't decide. There's a majority. Of course, it's split down party lines. That doesn't mean that it's right. So we're going to continue with what we're doing. It has to be a 100% without equivocation unanimous. It has to be. But she's a biznatch.
Biznatch.
I'm just saying.
God, I love that character.
Yeah.
And to Matt's point, if they're not a unified bench on this decision,
hold on a second.
then
Charlie said Breyer. Hold on. He said Breyer retired. Yeah. Then who is that? Hold on. So that is Sam Alito. God, he looks different. That's right. Breyer retired. And Breyer opened up, wasn't it? That was Amy Coney Barrett, yeah? And Ruth Bader Ginsburg was Kavanaugh. No. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was Ruth
Amy
Bader
Coney Barrett.
Yeah, Amy Coney Barrett replaced Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Kavanaugh replaced Breyer. And then Gorsuch, I don't remember who Gorsuch. Oh, yeah, real strong. Oh God, what was his name? Huge. Oh my God, one of the best. Come on, Leroy, one of the most conservative judges. He's written some of the biggest.
Yeah, I know. You're talking about. Short Italian guy.
Yeah.
He was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They were like friends, real good friends.
Yeah, and he clerked for. Oh my gosh,
Scalia.
Anton Scalia. Yes. So Gorsuch replaced Scalia. That's how it was. I'm tired, folks. I mean, God, and I love the courts. I watched all these hearings. Okay, so finish your thoughts, Leroy. I apologize for interrupting you, brother.
No, you're fine. I think to Matt's point, the bench has to be unified here, because any dissent, right, only serves to give those seeds to the states to say, well, look, even the Supreme Court isn't necessarily unified on this decision. If they don't do that, again, I see this tit for tat in politics. And if you're going to have New Hampshire and Colorado saying, oh, no, we're not allowing Trump to run, you're going to have Texas or Florida step forward and go, well, if you want to play that game, and all hell would break loose. So I think it absolutely has to be a unified bench. And I would predict that Trump will, in fact, be on the New Hampshire and Colorado balloting system. So,
yeah.
That's my take.
It's interesting when the SCOTUS goes in session, you really only see them once a year, and that's at the State of the Union. You just don't see the SCOTUSes out in public. So you kind of forget who those bastards stay on there forever. So it's kind of hard to remember sometimes. But anyway, we all got it right in the end. So we're shifting gears. Let's go into final segment. And this one, I'm sure we all will have an opinion on. CNN angers eat some strange shrooms, and facts start appearing out of thin air. CNN fact checked Biden on the document scandal. And before I go, I have to hit Mr. Benny Johnson just a little bit. And I'm sorry. I don't want to, but I do. That's a lie. I do want
Yeah, you do.
So I'm not going to lie. So Benny Johnson retweeted this from Catherine Herridge, who is a Fox News. First of all, she is essentially a Fox News correspondent to the White House, but this woman holds a security clearance right up there with a general or admiral in the United States Navy. She is an extremely intelligent, well-connected, intelligence official who is a reporter. You know who Catherine Herridge is, right? Leroy? Short hair.
Yes.
Yeah, she's very smart. And was on Fox for a long time. And she's been in the White House press room for a long time. And she's covered the NSA, NRO, FBI. I mean, she knows her stuff. Like I said, she has to be read in based upon the people she talks to. So very, very interesting point. But Benny Johnson, because she's from Fox, doesn't understand that she's actually works for a liberal channel. I think it's MSNBC she works for now, or whatever, CNN. But she's not a Trump fan, and she's not somebody who you would necessarily retweet if you're Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson puts this out, and it says, and see if you guys can follow along. Benny Johnson retweets this. Special counsel writes, Mr. Biden took his classified notebooks home with him and stored them in unsecured and unauthorized locations. The Presidential Records Act does not exempt former presidents and vice presidents from removing, retaining, losing, or disclosing classified information. Who do you think Catherine Herridge is talking about? She's not talking about Biden, because in her estimation, the narrative is that Biden had unclassed documents that were not necessarily the highest level. No, she's not talking about Biden. Catherine Herridge is putting this up here for Trump.
Yep.
This is a backhanded compliment. This is saying, yeah, Biden's guilty too, but this also says that Donald Trump has no authority, and that's a Republican prosecutor saying it. This is Catherine Herridge trolling and gaslighting Republicans, and Benny Johnson retweeted it. So when I tell you that Benny Johnson just reposts shit and says shit that he hears from Fox and doesn't understand what he's saying sometimes, this is a perfect example. It's such a classic move by Catherine Herridge that it does show you, yeah, Biden screwed up. But remember, the narrative is that Biden had some personal notebooks and Donald Trump had hundreds and thousands of boxes, which Leroy and I completely just debunked that bull crap. After Leroy and I looked at the FBI inventory, I think we found 17 compartmentalized documents, and most of them were empty folders.
Yeah.
And guess what? They found code word access, compartmentalized information in Joe Biden's home. I'm about to show you that. But my point is all she is doing is Benny sees it and goes, oh, I can use this against Biden. It's actually hurts Trump more than Biden. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does everyone understand?
Yep.
Okay. Let's go ahead and watch these. Here's two videos that kind of help put everything together. One is, and then I've got a border one to show you, just a flashback. This is CNN
President Biden
owning Joe Biden. And when I say owning, I mean like they fact check the hell out of him and do what I did to him in the article today. Go ahead and listen to this. The point is, know when you're being trolled. And if you don't know when you're being trolled, you shouldn't be in this game. If you can't recognize when you're supposed to be batting for the other side, you're supposed to be a Trump fan, and you just posted something that makes, without any equivocation, Trump look guilty. Kind of an interesting thing. Here we go. Oh, Ian O'Reilly says, why take folders? Because we tried to explain this, and maybe you weren't watching a show, Ian. It's not about taking folders. It's that Leroy, do you want to explain daily briefing to Ian and how when you're an attaché, how
sure.
containing folders sometimes get left behind or after the burn bag and after? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, of course. So classified information is normally it's you're going to have cover sheets on this stuff if you're transporting it, and that's even sometimes within a skiff. A lot of times it will also keep these documents in large folders just simply for storage purposes, but a lot of times they don't like staples in them. Eventually, if these things end up in a burn bag somewhere, some poor airman has to rip the staples out manually. So they typically like to keep them in folders. And that's just one of the pitfalls of having that kind of information. Fortunately, these days, nearly everything that is transferred around on a skiff is almost all electronic. The problem is that when you're dealing with this old school stuff, when we talk about paper, all of this stuff should be accounted for. There is supposed to be a register system for every classified document. I think it's for TS and above. Every classified document has to have a annual. It has to be recorded annually, like register recorded, who took it out, when they took it out, how many pages it was, and what the classification was for that document. And then what they'll do is keep that in the folder because just for ease of transportation.
And not only that, but when you are doing paper briefing, and let's face it, some of this stuff is hand carried, you're going to use photographs and things like that that are literally sometimes downloaded within minutes of a briefing. And if you got to go across the street to the White House from the Pentagon, you're going to find containing folders of information that once it's there, it's read access only, no reproduction, and an immediate burn after consumption to intended target of the intelligence report. So once these guys, and listen, presidents get daily briefings, CIA, NSA, NRO, all of them come in and brief the president, and they get a daily briefing on world affairs, lasts about 15 minutes, and they will bring information. But here's the thing, he's not always in the White House. He's not always in a skiff. So it will be at his home. It'll be at Camp David. It'll be on Air Force One. It'll be in other places. And when you bring that intelligence to the president of the United States, because face it, folks, if you're going to do encryption and start sending digital files over different networks and different areas, I mean, you're just opening yourself up for espionage. So there are times where you still use paper. And then
there's also something...
You subsequently burn it, and then a folder might be left behind because a lot of people don't burn the folders because here's just the truth. People are effing lazy and don't have operational security awareness and will actually reuse the folders for other things. I'm not kidding. Go ahead, Leroy.
I was going to say there's also something called working papers, which are like the additional notes, what Matt was talking about. If there's additional photographs or somebody's handwritten notes about a particular document, sometimes some of these reports can be rather lengthy. So what some analysts have done is they will summarize the whole thing with handwritten notes and then include that in the folder as well. And that, so because that wasn't part of the original report, again, it's easier to put all of this stuff together in one folder.
It's just, you guys got to understand, it's just ridiculous. They've all done it, and they are just
it's common practice.
Nobody's going to jail. I was just going to say this, but I'm going to do it now. Hillary Clinton didn't go to jail. Obama didn't go to jail for killing American citizens overseas. Okay, he didn't go to jail for spying on Americans. Do you understand? Does anyone really have looked into the history of Benjamin Franklin and how he was a double agent for England? Is the theory is that he spied on the United States for the English and then reported back to the United States and then went back and reported to the English? There's some wonderful books on it. But there are other things in history where there's been breaches of etiquette and spying on Americans and human intelligence that transfers from one country to another in our country. And this has happened with, there's great spy masters. There's a great book on the top 10 spy masters of the United States. It's a wonderful book. It'll walk through all the major spy masters. And the one that is the most concerning is the Snowden leaks. And it's not Snowden we're worried about. It's the absolute abuse of privacy laws that the United States government did with billions, trillions of interceptions and illegal spying on Americans, database collection, programs that read your email, read your Facebook. I mean, I'm not going to go into specific programs. I'm just going to tell you that Obama should be in jail for the rest of his life. So should Bush. And that's the truth. If they're not going to prison, nobody's going to prison. Donald Trump's not going to prison. Right. Biden's not going to prison. Hunter's not going to prison. Are you not paying attention? Quickly, Leroy, how many people in the United States Navy do you know who've reached captain's mast and been exfilled from the military? Give me a percentage. How many do you think that happen each year? Right. Just give me a rough number.
Speculate on that.
Yeah, you can. Throw me a percentage. Out of
0.5%, just a guess.
Okay. I think that's about fair, right? Maybe even 1%, because a lot of people come back drunk and do stupid stuff and sleep at time when he's prostitutes.
Yeah.
So so out of your command, how many people are in your command when you were on a vessel or you were assigned to a squadron or whatever it was? How many in your command?
Right. I had about 220 people on the ship.
Okay, on a ship. Okay, so that's different. Okay, so I was talking like if you're stateside or on a base, but on a ship, I had more than that. We had about 1,400, but we're a bigger ship. So out of the 200 people, Leroy is trying to say to you that roughly 1 to 2 people were kicked out of the military and held accountable for what they did, which is a great number because it's very comparable to the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. How many people in the U.S. Senate annually and state legislation are tried and convicted for embezzlement, money laundering, stock exchange manipulation, whatever it is? How many? 0. And how long has this been going on? Just by the numbers. You're talking about people who are dealing with millions of dollars in appropriation, and nobody has gotten fingery. Nobody's done election campaign manipulation. Nobody has broken FEC violations. Nobody has had child porn on their computer. They are untouchable, and they will never be held accountable. I don't know what you're smoking. They will never be held accountable. I can tell you from Apple, 35,000 some odd employees that I have hired, worked with, or been responsible for. And I can tell you about 20% of those people were in trouble for attendance, were in trouble for theft, were in trouble for not showing up to work, taking money out of the register. It's unbelievable how much turnover. And Apple's one of the lowest turnover rates out of any company. Just by numbers alone, we should have senators and congressmen and administration and FBI and CIA being hauled off to prison just by math alone. And we don't see any of it. You have a staffer that took it up the ass on a desk who will not be held accountable. You had cocaine in the White House. Nobody was arrested.
Yeah.
If you had what if Leroy and I decide to have anal sex in the anteroom chambers of the Supreme Court and do a couple
Wait.
lines of coke? Hold on. What would happen to Leroy and I? You're pitching. I will catch for you because I'm going to be on coke.
All right.
So we're going to switch roles. So if we're having gay sex and we do, how many years in prison will we be there?
Oh God, 25, 30.
What happens to
Maybe
his
more.
clearance? What happens to we would be excommunicated from the community. We would be in prison. He would go to jail. He would immediately lose everything. But this staffer decides to go ahead and take it up the ass and nothing happens. Give me a break. If you believe that the United States government is going to hold itself accountable, that is like saying that the inmates will reform in prison by themselves.
And isn't that the point? Honestly, isn't that the point? There's been so many great journalistic pieces out there when politicians do wrong and then nothing happens.
Nothing.
But the rules aren't the same. The rules aren't the same for them as they are for us. Clinton can have her own server and nobody apparently gives a shit, right?
No.
She can get 13 Americans killed overseas. Nobody cares, right? If I do that, one person took a photo. I remember reading the story. One person took a photo on a submarine, and that dude, I think he ended up doing like 3 or 4 years before they were like,
Donald Trump
"All right,
had to
fine.
pardon him.
Finally, you can let him out. Right. So the rules aren't the same for politicians as they are for the rest of people. And I think that's the major thing that everyone seems to get wrong. Like somehow it's okay so long as it's only the Republicans that are being convicted, or you think that it's only the Democrats that can
That's
be
right.
held accountable.
That's right.
But that's not right. That's not right at all.
No.
Right? I want everyone to be held to the same standard, and
That's
that's
right.
not something that happens currently.
Not only, real quick, and then I'm going to turn to Olivia. The one thing that I have a problem with is people are distracted by the wrong thing. It's not about Biden's memory, because in 2017, he didn't have cognitive issues. When he broke the law in 2012 and 2017, he wasn't suffering from cognitive decline. So therefore, they cannot use that excuse. That's a cover. This whole I can't connect the dots thing is to cover up the crime. He did not have access to compartmentalized information. He is not allowed to do what the president does. Right. The president can take uncompartmentalized information anywhere he wants. He can't do that as a senator. He can't do that as a vice president. He doesn't have that authority. Donald Trump can't declassify. That's a lie. Kash Patel's full of crap. And I'll put Kash Patel on my show and I will toss him all the way around the block on this. But Donald Trump has a right to have access to it outside of a SCIF.
Yeah.
Joe Biden broke the law. If Donald Trump broke the law, then Joe Biden broke the law. Because that's the effing president versus a VP. So they're distracting you from the true problem. He broke the law. And they're not going to hold him accountable because he's old. You know what? Bullcrap. One of the most vile spy masters in the United States ever was 68 years old. They threw that son of a bitch in the prison and threw away the key.
Talk about Walker.
Yeah, I don't care how old you are. You are a treasonous piece of crap if you break OPSEC. The vice president knows that. You get people killed that way. This stuff was unsecure in his garage. And if Donald Trump's fine, Donald Trump's guilty, yes, make him pay. But you better hang Biden too. Donald Trump is not going to spend a day for the document can. They just gave it away. It's over. Donald Trump, he's going to say, "Hey, I'm old."
It's precedent.
You've just it's just like Hillary Clinton. There's no intent. You just gave another intent. There was no intent from Joe Biden. He's too old. He doesn't have his faculties. And Donald Trump will say, "Well, you know what? I didn't have my faculties at the time either."
You know, and it reminds me of when Nancy Pelosi's husband got caught drinking and driving, right?
Yeah, right.
Did anything
right.
anything ever come from that? Had that been anybody else,
Yeah, jail.
right?
Jail
Immediately.
Hands down.
And that's the difference. And if we know for fact that all of these crimes can occur within politics, right? And there's those two different sets of standards that are being applied, then how do you vote? Do you vote in a manner for which you're like, oh, I know there's all these crooked politicians, but I'm going to go ahead and give them more of my liberties. I'm going to go ahead and give them more control over my life. No, that makes no sense. None.
Yeah.
That's why you vote in a fashion that says, look, I'm going to retain as much of those liberties because I don't trust them. They're already proven themselves to be untrustworthy. That's the point.
We've been hard on Trump. Both Leroy and I have said that we see that obstruction is very a clear possibility, and he probably should be charged with obstruction. He defied a court order from the NARA to cease and desist and return all documents. They are not his property. They are the property of the United States government and the American people. Period. Plain and simple. Every president knows that. He did what he always, I'm the president. You're not going to bowl me around. I don't care. You're just an NARA person. Who do you think you are? That's his arrogance. That's his business side. But honestly, it's obstruction. So he should be held accountable for that. As far as anything else, the president of the United States does not have to get permission from anyone to read a person in. At all. If the president of the United States seeks an advisor to counsel him, let's say on the Vatican, and there is massive intelligence at a top secret nature, code word classified, about the Pope running an underage sex child trafficking ring among priests and clergy. By the way, this isn't a fake story. This is a real one. And uncovers this on the national scale, and a certain president decides to go ahead and take local parish, local bishops, local members of the clergy and the Catholic Church and brief them on this and help them, use them to discern as advisors. President of the United States has full authority to do so. President of the United States can read in anybody he wants on his authority and his word. So if Donald Trump decided to go ahead while president and shared classified information with somebody, you can't hold him accountable for that unless he is doing it against OPSEC and against the bylaws of holding classified information, which is sharing with a foreign agent, selling for profit. You understand. Treason, espionage. When he wasn't a president, it's a completely different conversation. And Donald Trump even said that on tape. That gets Donald Trump in trouble. Sharing it with that reporter when he said, I probably shouldn't even be sharing this with you. He knew he was wrong. But you're going to hold him accountable. You better hold Biden accountable. Here's the video, and then we're going to go for the night. We're going to enjoy the weekend. Here it is.
While one thing that President Biden said,
come on now,
basically that he stored the documents in filing cabinets that could be locked. Let's listen.
All the stuff that was in my home was in filing cabinets that were either locked or able to be locked.
Daniel?
No. Just not true, John. This report from the special counsel includes photos. Those photos include shots of a box just sitting in President Biden's Delaware garage. The special counsel described it as a badly damaged box sitting amid household detritus. So there was some material that was in cabinets, locked or lockable, as the president said, but all of it certainly not. And that open, unsealed, damaged box included, according to the special counsel, highly sensitive, top secret material about the war in Afghanistan.
Man,
another claim that President Biden made.
Look how. Did you see that lead-based cardboard box there with X-ray repulsion technology? It's so good.
The documents were highly classified.
Bullshit.
None of it was high classified. Didn't have any of that red stuff on it. You know what I mean? Around the corners?
Liar.
None of that.
Well, red is my secret, but sure.
Daniel?
That claim that he didn't have material that was quote-unquote high classified is also not true, John. The special counsel's report says that the president possessed multiple highly classified documents that were indeed marked as being highly classified documents.
Can I be clear on what highly classified means? Because they're full of shit.
Yes.
At TS/SCI compartmentalized code word access or code word software-based systems that cannot be read outside of a SCIF. Period. The things you guys blame Trump for, stealing nuclear football and all that other bullshit, Biden actually did it. And he did not have any right to have access to it. You know what I would do? If I was the DOJ, I would run all of those code word classifies projects and look at the actual active list of people who are read in. And if Joe Biden isn't read in, I would put him in Leavenworth.
Fair.
Right now. Arrest his ass and throw him in Leavenworth and throw away the key. If he is not read in, then that means that he stole TS-SCI code word access documents, which are the most coveted thing. They're the sacred cow in intelligence. They are the cup of Christ. They are the scrolls coming down from Mount Sinai.
Yeah.
They are the most coveted piece of information that intelligence specialists protect, that the intel community protects. It is the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail.
There are 17 intelligence agencies. 17.
Well,
and if any of them ever had a leak like that, any of the three letters, any of the departments, any of the branches of the military, if any of them had just a rando box with TS-SCI information, just, in one of those home Office Depot boxes, just kind of shoehorned in the corner of somebody's storage unit, that person would be in prison forever. So
where was the raid? Where's the FBI? Where are the guns? Where's
well,
the
that
3
was what I
a.m.?
was going to ask.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to ask. Do you remember when, because they thought that they knew that Trump had this information, like it was very political. They brought in tons of media to cover it. Oh, this is the raid. It's going on live, right? You had that, but for this kind of thing, it's like, oh well, no, he had access. No, he didn't have access to it. He should not have had those documents. There is no legal reason for him to have held on to those at all, let alone carry them outside of a skiff. There's no way. Terrifying. It's terrifying.
It's the Dead Sea Scrolls, folks. It's the Veil of Veronica. All the most coveted documents in all the land. All right, last part of the video, and then Olivia's fading. She's
including
tired.
some marked as top secret / SCI, sensitive compartmented information. That is a very high level of classification.
It's the highest level of classification.
So her discussed 2 top secret documents about Afghanistan found in that open, unsealed, damaged box in the garage, one of which her said contains highly sensitive info about military programs, and another that contains info.
Do you think they raided Jill Biden's underwear and took some of her panties too? I'm just wondering. Do you think they took Jill Biden's granny panties? I mean, they were in Melania Trump's underwear garments. I mean,
see, why would you?
Just saying.
I can't.
Listen, I'm not a tubby chaser, but granny chase.
Now.
I might be a granny chaser. I might be,
Well, apparently, Joe had the thing for the babysitter at one point.
The great thing about Jill Biden's dress is that if you stain it like Monica Lewinsky, nobody will be able to tell because she wears drapes and they suck. So there's a positive there. Her floral patterns will cover up the evidence. What is that? That's just some pollen. Just some pollen.
Sensitive intelligence sources. And
where does he get those wonderful toys?
Now, it's not clear, John, if any of those Biden documents had those colored borders we saw on classified documents.
Colored? Fucking racist.
That former President Trump had, which I think is what President Biden was referring to when he talked about red around the corner. But still, what
Shane says, I had 7 levels above top secret clearance. Okay, Shane. Listen to me. For the guy that quoted me and said that I shouldn't go ahead and be honest about Eli Crane, that we don't always agree on things, and give me a lecture, you're not going to go ahead and talk to 2 intelligence specialists who I guarantee had higher clearance than you could ever achieve and try to educate us that you had 7 clearances above top secret where there is no fucking thing as 7 clearances above top secret clearance. Okay? It doesn't exist. There's no such thing. You couldn't name the classification if I gave you $1 million. I need you to stop.
I love the people that do that, and all they're referring to sometimes is like they heard a code word at one point that they don't want to repeat, or they think that SCI is its own thing.
Brother, please.
All right,
please, just don't, dude. It's like you go into Tom Brady and saying, "Hey, man, I'm going to give you some football tips." Just don't. He has spent his life doing this, and I saw a shit ton of stuff in my time in the military, and there's no such thing. Do you know Leroy and I have higher clearances than most admirals on their ships? Do you know that? Are you aware of that? Do you know intelligence specialist clearance really start at TS and above? That starting code word access and the stuff that we work is all SCI material.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Just stop. Please. Just stop.
Coloring these documents had the special.
I got a guy behind a guy who knows the guy.
And when they're talking about the red checkerboard, I'm like, all right, that's going to be secret cover sheet. Sure. Okay. You're really in trouble when you find the orange one. You find an orange one, it's time to go the other way.
You know who I like? You know who I like? Other guys like. Did you know that I used to be able to carry grenades on planes? They gave me a 45 under my jacket, and I had a grenade. Why did you have a grenade on a plane? Well, if I was ever caught, I could go ahead and pull the pin and take the classified information handcuffed to my wrist. Why are you taking civilian aircraft?
Oh my God.
Why are you taking civilian aircraft? Why are you handcuffing something to your wrist? Why are you taking an 18-hour flight on civilian aircraft with a grenade and a 45? Okay, let's play.
Man, do I have stories? I have stories for days of people who inadvertently brought things in that they shouldn't have. Right? Here
you go.
All right,
I did.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was an anti-Morris intercept electronic warfare 307F. You know what? EW, OS, CMs, they all work for us. It all bottles up to IS. You guys are
EW's on the ship, just so that you know, because I was an EW on a ship. EWs only have up to secret. So if you're going to talk about that, then I know where your limitations are.
Every radio man, every crypto, they all work for ISs, dude. All that shit gets bottled up to us. It goes to us. Delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
Did you break the Enigma code breaking machine? Did you go? Let me guess. You were on board the U-571. Did you meet Matthew McConaughey when you were there?
McConaughey.
Did you ensure that you wrapped it in a pea coat so it didn't get wet? Did you set those? How long did you set those C4 charges? It's a good movie. It's a wonderful movie. It's just unfortunately you're
gonna get back there and do your job, sailor.
You're gonna hold it, sailor. You make sure you set that det cord a certain length. Come on, Bill Putnam.
Mr. Hirsch, step away from that bulkhead.
I'm surprised Bill. What's the guy's name in Twister? Bill what?
Paxton.
Yeah, Bill Paxton. I said Putnam. I'm surprised Bill Paxton, when they shot him up, man, he didn't go like this. Like Terminator sinking into the water with a thumbs up. It was so corny. Come on, dude. Listen to me, Shane. I'm not making fun of you. You're making fun of yourself. I believe that you did amazing things in the military, and as I've known a lot of EWs. Okay, fantastic, but you didn't hold a clearance that were 7 clearance. There's no such thing. That's not how. Okay, there are parallels. It's not a vertical progression with intelligence. There is a level of need to know, and then you don't know. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? There's need to know for your job. Then you go to SCI, compartmentalized top secret information that you need to know. And then that's it. It's a horizontal progression. It is not a vertical progression. There are no 7 levels higher than TS.
That's it.
But when I go ahead and say that my clearance was that or above of an admiral that worked on my ship, it means that I was read into things that he wasn't.
Right.
Do you understand the words that are
Do you
coming out of
understand
my
the
mouth?
word coming out of my mouth? Shane, I don't know what to say. Okay, you know what? Just like I told you on the thread in Facebook, I'm done. Yep, I'm done. Here's the rest.
And then I should add, Hur also said that investigators' analysis of Biden's own handwritten notes from his time as vice president showed that these notebooks also contained highly classified info.
I once went to Ding Dang, and I took ears off the Viet Cong with a Swiss Army knife. And I feasted. I once took a battalion of Charlies with a piece of bamboo and a stick of jerky. I sewed myself up with rabbit fur. And then I strapped 2 sea turtles together and I swam out of there.
Whale blubber.
And then I ate whale blubber.
Leroy knows what I'm talking about.
I don't think he does. He has a memory. He has a memory.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We had a guy. We were out on the ship, and this is a very hush-hush type situation. But there was only like...
Screw it. We're done watching. We're just going to get into this. Hold on.
There was 10 or 11 Navy peeps on here, and the XO of the ship at the time was this super, super laid back, totally chill kind of guy. And so he orders swim call, right? Well, the vessel that we're on, we had all of the delivery vehicles that would be needed for certain teams. And so we had like high-end jet skis and everything else. We got a picture of him on one of these jet skis. And so he's out there like riding it like he's a cowboy. And this is off the Horn of Africa. And so this is great. He comes back on board and we're like, this is the picture was just so perfect. The sun was behind him. And so somebody photoshopped the Sea-Doo out of it and put him on a dolphin. And it was so classic that it was because it was the classic, like, he had the operator look. He had the full beard. He had the shades. Everything was picturesque.
Wraparound sunglasses.
Yeah, the wraparound shades, and he's riding a dolphin. Right.
Only tattoos that go under the polo he's wearing. Only tattoos that go under.
We actually ordered T-shirts for that. I gotta go get that. It is so great. I'll be right back. You're gonna love this.
You actually physically have.
He still has it. Wow.
I gotta see this. I made him a cool shirt for him and his unit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think I ever told you about that.
No, does he know?
Well, yeah, because I gave it to him. Honey.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was a surprise. No, you didn't tell me.
Yeah, I did. I sent it to him. Well, I want to see the shirt, so I'm interested to see it. Ramon says, unalive to Charlie Tango with an MRE spool. Spork. Shane says, what's Umbra then? Umbra's nothing. And I'm not going to answer you over... Dude, okay. If you knew anything, you wouldn't be saying anything. And that's what... Hey, Leroy.
Yeah.
Leroy. Shane wants to know. Yeah. He says, what's Umbra then? You know the last guy that started spewing stuff off and talking about class type of stuff? Got a little knock on his door and watching this show from the NSA.
What? Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. So hold on. I'm not done. I'm not done.
All right.
So you're talking about a guy who's in right now, and then you're talking about another guy who just actively stopped working with the CIA 6 months ago. And you're going to talk about, I'll answer your stupid question just to shut you up. It's a high-level form of SIGINT. Now don't talk anymore. And I don't want to hear your mouth anymore. And if you say another word, I'm going to fucking ban you. Okay? Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Now we're done. Let's see the shirt. Asshole.
Oh, it's
She's
green.
got a rainbow.
Oh, it's green. We can't see
It's
it.
it's on the green screen. You got to take off the green screen.
Got to take the green screen off. We can't see it.
That's all it is,
Dude.
actually. John, if you're watching this, I miss you. I miss you, brother. That's all. He was so great. God, he was funny.
God. So
when I had my accident, that dude literally was one of the guys who carried me to sick bay after I broke 2 of my vertebrae. So he was a good dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And Shane, shut up. Don't come into my channel and start talking. You should know better. If you're supposedly got your 7 levels of clearance, you would know better. And you would also, you'd basically be Jesus Christ of the intelligence community. Okay. So when you walk on water and can turn water into wine, let me know. I'm thirsty. Leroy, last minute for you. Sorry for I got vulgar, folks, but I just can't stand former guys who enough. Leroy, go ahead.
So what did we cover tonight? The biggest story that I thought was the Supreme Court potential for a decision in the upcoming couple of days. Both Matt and I are in total agreement. Surprise, surprise. I believe that the Supreme Court will side with former President Trump and allow him to be on the 2 states. It was Colorado and New Hampshire. What was the other one? New Hampshire.
I thought it was Maine for some reason.
New Hampshire.
Yeah, so I am in total agreement
Maine?
with Matt. I think that it was New Hampshire.
I thought it was New Hampshire too.
Other than that, for President Biden, it was nice to see CNN really sticking it to the current president in terms of, hey, look, these are the fibs that he told during the course of this interview. And this is why we think it's wrong. I thought that was nice. I like to see when CNN gets it right. In this case, I thought they did. Yeah, that's my minute.
So I just wrote an article on this. Why am I even fact checking this? California had talked about it. Colorado had done it.
Right.
Maine requires Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, New Hampshire. So New Hampshire overturned. This decision is tied with New Hampshire, y'all.
Okay.
So New Hampshire and Colorado, the state Secretary of State David Scanlon overturned it. And I believe that the court case being heard is Colorado's right to do it and New Hampshire's right to do it are the two, not plaintiffs, but two states that are being heard in front of the Supreme Court, if I'm not mistaken. You know what? Let's just go check the dumb news because at this point it's a big blur. I'm trying to keep my cool.
Same way.
When people don't know how to understand the words OPSEC.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, sure you do.
Something about a big purple dragon. That's all I know.
God, I need a day off, but of course tomorrow. Okay, here it is. Quick. I think it was New Hampshire and Colorado. Mm-hmm. I think those are the two people in the case. And I know Maine was another one. There was let me read them off real quick and then we'll go. We're just over a minute. Okay. So here are the states that were involved. Ready? Good. Here we go.
Yes.
California, Colorado, Illinois, Maine. Now, Maine requires a challenge to primary nomination to be filled by the Secretary of State. Secretary of State Shanna Bellows received 3 challenges to Trump's primary nomination petition, to which argued that the former president doesn't meet the qualification of presidency. Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, New Hampshire, Oregon, and there's 12 other states arguing: Alaska, California, Louisiana, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, Wisconsin. Those are arguing he's not eligible, remain pending. New Hampshire is in it. Maine is out. So the following states: Alaska, California, Louisiana, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, Wisconsin. These are other states that are challenging the premise because there's people who are filing petitions. So this is a multitude of states under one petition to the Supreme Court. Okay? So I think the 2 leading the charge are New Hampshire and Colorado, if that's what my understanding is.
And that's a good thing that they're doing it that way, because had these states decided to file those types of motions independent, then this whole thing would have been drug out.
Amy Bordeaux says, I feel like Leroy is itching to end the show, strip down with just the T-shirt and run around throwing glitter or something.
That's pretty funny.
Sounds he's just like, nailed it. Liv, last minute, what do you got for us? This is one of those shows. Leroy and I haven't been together. I'm so sorry. I will make sweet love to you, woman. We'll lay down by the fire. I'll caress your heavenly body as you moan and perspire.
Oh my God.
Gross.
Chef. Oh my God, that's gross.
I get some Barry White going. That's what I want to hear.
I know one little kitty is going with mom and dad. You go to hell. You go to hell and you die. Liv, give us our minute. What's wrong, children? Bad. Why bad? All right, go ahead.
I don't have anything to say, Mike.
You don't have anything? I wonder if your mom's watching.
I don't know. She did text me and say Trump talked tonight, and she said she actually was impressed with it. He was in Pennsylvania,
Really?
I think.
Oh, he's in Pennsylvania? We didn't go?
Let me see. He was
What the
he was in
Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania. And he had a speech, and she said it was pretty impressive.
Well, we'll have to listen to it. You know, Shane, I like you, Shane, but you gotta stop, man. You gotta stop. All right.
You know what? The next time somebody says something like that, you just put them in timeout for 15 minutes. They'll get the hint.
How?
You can. As a mod, you can go on.
Well, then why didn't you do it? You knew that was going to piss me off.
Don't
Here
know.
we go.
And Facebook is freezing. I'm not getting the freaking comments.
Leroy, did you know that I have
I didn't.
congressional? Wait, I have the Congressional Medal of Honor with an oak leaf cluster. Do you want to know how? I once got my CIB in buds when I was in Delta. And
Class
the 82nd,
300.
and the 80s. What class were you? I was class 666. They called us the Devil Brigade, the Flipper Kickers. That's right.
The Flipper Kickers?
SEAL Team 7 was taken, so they called us SEAL Team 14. I had a clearance that was 14 levels above all other SEALs.
Right. Final week encompassed bringing goats back to life after we'd shot them.
You know what's funny is Chuck Norris was in my buds class. He quit. He's a pussy. I did 14 more push-ups than Chuck Norris. Once.
I arm wrestled Eddie Hall and won.
You want to know what else is funny? Chuck Norris once gassed me to a counting game, and I said, I'll count to infinity twice.
Oh my God.
Give me a break, dude.
I loved those Chuck Norris. It was funny
Chuck Norris
when
jokes
you're
are-
going through A school and C school. That's what we used anyway. Was like that was the ultimate trophy you could
the
get if you
Chuck
had done well
Chuck
for the
Norris
day.
jokes were great.
They had it was like on a tongue depressor kind of thing, and they had his face, his cardboard face, and we just pass that around. It was so great.
Yeah, we did little Johnny jokes. That was kind of our thing, not Chuck. But in between, you know how those go with RDC or the IS-1 leaves the room and leaves us to our own volition, and you're just like telling little Johnny jokes. Or all of a sudden, there was a guy named Shuckrow who was a wrestler, and he used to say he could beat everyone down. So we would wrestle. in the middle of the and you know those rooms. They're all modular.
Oh yeah.
Yes. They're all modular with slick white tile, and they all smell like corrugated plastic. You remember the rooms at the Mitzi?
I buffed every one of those floors.
Of course you did. And buffing those things were so fun.
Little Johnny jokes.
The red pad and then the black pad and then
they stunk, dude. Those rooms, they were so stinky after remodel.
You know what it smelled like? It smelled like it almost smelled like recycled rubber almost.
Yeah, that's it was corrugated plastic. It was like, and it was just the fumes there probably gave us all freaking cancer. Little Johnny jokes. Yeah. You know.
I was telling after I got my epidural with Hayden when I was in labor for 12 hours, I started telling little Johnny jokes to the nurse.
Little Johnny jokes. Do you remember any?
Yeah, it was the train one. It's the
well,
one
give
that
it to us. Let's hear the little Johnny joke.
Okay.
God, you look pretty tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so
shut up, Leroy.
Little Johnny is in the backyard playing with his train set, and his mom is in the kitchen. She's got the window open, and she hears him say, "All you, what was it?
Oh God,
I can't remember the total joke. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, then you totally can't tell it.
I know.
Ruined it.
I know. I can't remember.
For us, it wasn't Little Johnny jokes. That was right when Tropic Thunder really made it big, and everyone
that's what I was just doing.
Yeah, and so we would just go around quoting that all day. Suck my unit and stuff like that.
That's right. All right, I got a little Johnny joke since you forgot. All right, so
I'll think of it.
Here's my little Johnny joke, and then we'll go for the weekend. Little Johnny's in class, and he just got done with 4th grade, and the teacher is like, "Oh my God, if I have little Johnny in my class, I swear to God, I'm gonna quit." And as she shows up for her 5th grade class, she looks around the room and she sees her worst nightmare, and it is little Johnny sitting in the middle of the room. And she can just tell that he is even worse than he was in 4th grade. And her assignment this morning is to do alphabet association with real physical and anatomical properties and actions. So, for instance, you would say the letter A, and somebody would say a corresponding body part, like Adam's apple. Okay. Ooh, you got 2 A's. So she goes through and she goes, all right, who wants to start? And B is the first letter. And everybody raises their hand, but little Johnny, man, he's just out there. And he's bouncing. He just 100 miles an hour a minute with his hand up in the air and just emphatically swinging it. And she's like, not a chance. Not a fucking chance am I going to call little Johnny. Little Susie. And she's like, B, breasts. And teacher goes, absolutely. She goes to the chalkboard and she draws a pair of breasts. And, good job, little Susie. And goes to the next one, C. And, people jump up and just raising their hands all over the place. And little Johnny's just shoving his hand up as high as he can go.
Yeah.
She's not a chance. He goes, little Bobby. He goes, B, C, clavicle. Yeah, that's very good for 5th grade. Clavicle. It goes clavicle. And they go through D and E and F and G and blah, 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 blah. And they go through so many different ones. And finally, all the hands are down and they get to the letter U, and the only person is little Johnny, still as energetic as ever with his hand up in the air. And she goes, I've went through everybody else. What do I do? I've got to call little Johnny. So she goes, you, can I think of anything? I can't think of anything that he's going to come up with for you. All right, this is the letter. Right. Okay, little Johnny, you. Little Johnny stands up and he goes, urinate. The teacher goes, urinate, yes, to pee, to urinate, absolutely. And he goes, no, urinate, but if you had bigger tits, you'd be a 10.
I remember the joke now. I remembered it.
You got your joke finally?
I do.
Are you sure? Because this is what you do, and you say the whole joke, and then you forget the punchline, and then we're all sitting here like, what?
I got it.
All right, go ahead.
A few people have already heard it. They've already mentioned it.
All right.
All right, so little Johnny's in the backyard playing with his train set, and his mom's in the kitchen doing the dishes. She's got the window open. And she hears him say, all you motherfuckers getting on the train, get on the train.
Whoa, You're dropping the mother effer.
How about some warning?
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
We need a beep.
Watch that mouth. All right, go ahead.
My bad. I'm gonna have to go say some rosary tonight.
No.
My
Go ahead. I think it's
right.
hot.
So all you motherfuckers getting on the train, get on the train. And all you motherfuckers getting off the train, get off the train. And she's like, oh my gosh, little Johnny. So she goes out there. We don't talk like that. You don't say that. And she makes him go sit in timeout. And after a while, she goes, you learned your lesson. You're not going to talk like that anymore. And he's like, yes, mommy. She goes, okay, you can go back out and play with your train set. And she keeps the window open, and she hears him say, all you ladies and gentlemen getting on the train, get on the train. And all you ladies and gentlemen getting off the train, get off the train. And anyone complaining about the 30-minute wait, talk to the bitch in the kitchen.
So good.
I told that to the nurses after I got my epidural.
Yeah, you were high as a mother.
I was freaking.
You were high.
I was in so much pain for 12 and a half hours that once I got that epidural and couldn't feel anything, I was freaking high as a kite.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching.
I feel like everyone else had their chance to tell a joke, and I was just talking to Matt before that I have to do quite a bit of traveling in the next couple of weeks. I have like 2 different business appointments, and I just got done doing a bunch of traveling.
Give it to us. Give us your
and
joke.
so while we were traveling, my wife, she was at the baggage carousel at the airport, and she fainted, and she fainted into it, and eventually she came around. So
I got it.
I didn't.
Olivia didn't listen.
No, I'm
Olivia.
so
No,
confused.
yes. Olivia does what she always does.
Carousel. She
doesn't
eventually
listen.
came
Baggage
around.
carousel. She came around. She fell. She came around. Finally came around. And a baggage carousel. She came around.
Apparently, I didn't hear the whole joke.
In a baggage carousel, and she came around. Do you get it?
No, I didn't hear the whole joke.
All right, give her
Dad
this.
jokes, folks. I got them.
Give it to her again. Slower this
My
time.
wife. All right, Olivia. My wife fainted at the baggage carousel and fell
Baggage
into
carousel
it
at the airport.
Fortunately, she came around.
Okay, that's a dad
See,
joke.
it's a double
Got it.
entendre. She came around. She woke up from her semi-consciousness and then came around physically in the. Actually, what you should have said is she was smuggled by one of Obama's administration who thought he was a woman and stole her clothes and took her with her luggage.
There's a good dad joke. I'm supposed to tell one dad joke every time we're live on Rumble, and I forgot this last week. They just reminded me.
How do you make a Kleenex dance?
I've already told that one.
I didn't ask you. I asked them.
How do you make a Kleenex dance, Matt?
You put a little boogie in it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Folks.
The one I was going to tell was,
I just want to go and play Diablo.
I don't trust stairs. They're always up to something.
That one's good.
These,
I like that.
These riddles are.
I love dad jokes.
The one that made you cry the other day. What was it when I said European? I don't know. You were talking about somebody. It doesn't matter. It was a European joke.
It was you were talking Ethan. It was something about Ethan or something.
I don't know. It was funny.
I don't remember.
All right, folks, do me a favor. Stop by the DUM Show, thedumbshow.com. You can pick up the collection, Documents of Freedom, if you want. Also, we try to ask at the end of every show now. This show is completely paid for by Olivia and myself. It's not something that we're paid for outside of commercials that you actually see and clothing sales and stuff. We're always looking for donations if you're willing. If you can give a little bit, that's great. If not, no big deal. It's always going to be free. We're never going to be behind a paywall. But you can go to linktapgo.com/thedumshow and you'll see all of our links. There's a donate button there. If you're interested in doing that, you want to help us out, we'd appreciate it. We're not beggars. But at this point, we want to help pay for the show, right? We got a living to make.
I take tips.
I will take tips.
Guys,
Thanks,
we love
everybody.
you.
Listen, Saturday, we got a video. See you, Leroy. And get out of here. Go.
Have a good
Pop
one.
Smoke. See ya. And
Night, Leroy.
we will be on Monday.
Night.
We will see you live and recorded. Love you, Leroy. See you guys. God bless. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. See you next time.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, Unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.